Hey y'all, this is Joe,
I'm Gerrie.
and welcome to Black Cult Film School.
Today we are learning the basics of a black cult film. But in order to understand that, we need to know the basics of a cult film.
Some of the things that make a cult film cult is the fact that it must be loved. If it's a movie that's mediocre across all standards, of course it's not going to become cult at all.
It also has to have intertextuality, meaning it can relate throughout all different forms of media.
It's also got to fit into a genre, if not multiple genres.
It also has to have a specific audience or a fan base, like where it can live on for years after its initial release.
As well as replayability. We have to be able to watch these things either on our laptops or on our VCRs, TVs, at our homes with our family. It's also got to be quotable too. Something that you can tell your grandkids that you watched back in the day. They might remember it. Who knows?
It also has to have some archetypes, like different character points that are repeated throughout the different black cult films. Now we're talking about the basics of black cult film, such as black stars, directors, and producers are typically, when involved, are the ones that make it considered black cult.
Another way that black cult films get recognition is the fact that they deal with real world problems like drugs, prostitution, and etc. However, a lot of times these are mixed with comedy to kind of lighten the initial blow.
There's also a specific audience within the black community that these films are geared towards.
And sometimes these films are geared towards specific genres such as blaxploitation, a melodrama, or even the classic hood movie.
And overall, the overall current between all this deals with underdevelopment of black society and film.
Just to continue, there's a few other things to consider when thinking about the basics of black cult film, and one of those happens to be the creation of an intimate public, which this is basically having a society within American society.
And there are also resistant readings for black characters where some characters may seem like they are the good guy in the film, but really, through another view of it, they're really showing like a negative connotation on the black society.
One of my favorite movies that we watched throughout the course of the semester was actually Coffee. The movie Coffee, starring Pam Grier from the 1970s, is a great example of blaxploitation, which is essentially a subgenre of black cult films. That blaxploitation is shown in the movie Coffee in many ways, mainly in the fact that it shows corruption in the policing, it shows Pam Grier's character as becoming the archetypical woman figure, superhero figure, but at the same time it mixes in real world problems with some comedy thrown in there, mainly her vocals, her comments.
Another series we're going to talk about is the Medea movies, which have a lot of intertextuality and quotability.
Thank the Lord.
As well as archetypes, a vast majority of archetypes throughout the movies, such as the stereotypical angry black woman. And they also deal with a lot of real world problems interlaced with comedy, such as divorce, drug issues, abuse. The next film we're going to be talking about is The Color Purple. We believe that it's considered a black cult because it has a very specific audience, which is mainly black women. It has a lot of black star power due to Oprah Winfrey and Whoopi Goldberg, and also contains a lot of nostalgia for black people when it deals with slavery and the history of slavery.
Another film that we touched on in class was Eddie Murphy's stand-up comedy Raw from 1993. This movie in itself contained a lot of intertextuality, especially when he was talking to Bill Cosby, making fun of him. It was actually quite funny, I must say so myself. He also used parodies, of course, and nostalgia, basically talking about the African wife, Umfufu. This also transcends into his theatrical film. Alright, you guys, that's about all the time we have for the day. But thank you guys for tuning in and watching the Black Cult Film School channel on YouTube. Please feel free to like, subscribe, or comment. And this is Joe.
And Gerrie.
Roll Tide.